Hello there. Welcome to Code Panthers. This is your host Fardeen Khan and you're watching another video from the Python tutorial series. In the previous video, we discussed about what Python actually is, what kind of applications and software you can write in it, and what are the various benefits of it and popularity, especially in the machine learning world. So now moving forward, we will start writing some actual Python code, but before that, we need it to be installed on a system. Now Python is available for installation via various modes. If you're on Linux, chances are that Python is already installed on it, or you can simply install it by by typing some commands like apt-get install Python. It'll be as easy as that because Linux has already some package managers built in. You don't have to go and download some exe file, right? But since this video is recorded on Windows, I will follow the usual path. Now I am not saying that you should only download python.exe and it is the best way. You can also use Anaconda. I will be uploading a new video for installation of Anaconda as well. So Anaconda is basically an environment manager. It is not a Python installation itself, but is more of a distribution of Python. We will talk more in detail about that, but it actually requires a bit of heavy heavy hardware configuration, because I've seen that it doesn't work very well on lower specs. It is mostly packed with a lot of other additional software and it has a beautiful UI for managing your packages. So enough talk about Anaconda. Right now we are focusing on the original way of installing Python. So just search for Python download and you will be led to the website that python.org. This is the birthplace of Python, so we will be downloading it through there. Now you must be aware, from the last video we talked about that Python has two versions, 3 and 2. 2 is discontinued, so we will not be downloading it. And you can see that there are various options. You can use it for Windows, Linux, Mac OS, or even for Docker. Okay, so you can see that there are other release versions available for it as well. You might be surprised that 3.9 or the latest version of any Python is not the one that is the most recent one that is released, because you can see that the chart here clearly says that 3.5 released after 3.7 and the with some minor fixes, because it is not possible for all the platforms that are running your Python scripts do support the latest one. For example, on AWS, some kind of services might support only 3.7 up to 3.8, not the latest 3.9. So be aware of that and download the version that is most suitable for you. So since I'm looking for teaching purposes here, I will only download the latest one, 3.9.1. It may be different for you at the moment of downloading it, but do know that there won't be a major change like from 2 and 3. So you will get to enjoy the same features. So 26.9 MB in size. I will skip to the part where it completes, but it is only 17 or so seconds remaining. Okay, so the Python executable has been downloaded. You can see it is following the AMD 64 architecture. Don't worry about that. So when you click on it, you will have some options. I suggest you add Python to your path by default, otherwise you will have to manually add it and then you won't be able to execute Python. For example, if you go to the command prompt and try to write Python, right now it will only lead you to installation through the Microsoft Store, which is not a very good option. And even after installation, if you do not add it to the path, that's the environment variable, you won't be able to call it from the command line. If you want to know about how environment variables are added, I can show you in a video that I've created recently. So you can just go through this link, or the link is also in the description. You can just go through that. Okay, so instead of doing that, let us select that option and go with the default installation, where it will include the IDLE, pip and documentation, and it will also create some shortcuts. You can customize it, I suppose, but in that case you will have to install these separately. I would not advise you do that. You can obviously not select test suite. That is not very important unless you know you want it. Ideally, I think is very important if you are only using this version of Python. Pip is also very important when adding packages, and documentation. Yes, in times when you are stuck, you do really need that. So the default option I think is the best option. So installing it, I'm using the 64-bit version. You can find, I guess, the 32-bit version. I'm not sure if they are supporting it or not. Let us see here. I don't think they are anywhere mentioning that 32-bit versions are supported. Maybe you have to research a bit more. Okay, so Python has been installed successfully and we have added it to our path. So now if I try to run the same command that I ran in the command prompt, it will run the interpreter. Now you can execute your code right here, for example assign some variable and then just trying to print them, or you can use the installed IDLE, which is, let me search for the name, I forgot actually, IDLE, which is known as the Integrated Development Environment for Python. So normally we have IDE, which is Integrated Development Environment, but IDLE is a special name for Python. I don't know why they have the L in there, but let it be, I suppose. So okay, so ideally will look like mostly the Python interpreter. Now what interpreter means is that we are interpreting one code line at a time. Okay, so for example, if you are using Python and you do not want to create a file and you just want to execute some code, then you can just do this, like create some variables by assigning them value, and then write down the code for some calculation. For example, c is equal to x plus y, and instead of writing some function, for example print, you will just write down the variable name and it will automatically type the name value of the variable. For example, type is a function, we'll discuss about it. It will return a string which will signify what type of variable we are looking at. Python is a very strictly loosely typed language, so you can assign any variable any value. Let us try that. Yeah, so right before we assigned it an integer value, right now it is having a string value. So str is for string. So it is a very loosely typed language where we can assign any type of variable to an already assigned variable. So things like that. So this was about installation of IDLE. Either you can do this or you can go to file, new file, and then write the same code that we were talking about. X equals to 5, y equals to 6, then c is equal to x plus y, and print c. It is similar to writing this code, but it is more useful when you are writing lengthy amount of codes. And for example, if I close this and reopen the IDLE, I would lose all that code, right? So this is not feasible. It is only for simple calculation or showing how Python work, or to check out some specific commands. But right now we have created this new file in Python and IDLE. Let us just save it on the desktop by the name of demo. And I already have a file by the name, I suppose, but we'll overwrite it. Okay, and then yeah, this is saved. Now you can go to file on run and run module, or press F5. Doing that, it will open another IDLE shell, and in that only the result will be displayed. So if you do not have any print statement like these, then it will only just run it without actually showing the result. So that is kind of a bit silly to do that. So always have print statements to at least get the results back at the end of your operations. So that was a simple program created in a newly installed Python IDLE. You can also execute this file. For example, if we move over to exit from this, you have to Control Z once. Again, let me try that. We have opened the Python interpreter. We can do the same thing that we did in the IDLE. Okay, the same thing can be done here. To exit from here, either you press Control C won't work. Okay, you have to press Control Z. When you press Control Z, it will just give you the command. Let us try the same file that we have created. For example, we have created Python file, right? The demo.py. We have it right here. So right now, if I try to execute it, demo.py, no result will be seen because we have not actually we have removed the print statement. So let me just edit that file, recent files, demo.py, make it so that it will print the statement C, print the value of C. Now close it down and again use the keyword Python, pass the name of the file. Okay, so this is the same thing. If you are trying to execute the result, execute the script right from the IDLE or through the command line, this is the way. Okay, so that was all about installing Python in a system, going through a simple program, how you can actually run the code. In the next video, we are going to install Anaconda. So it will be a more advanced kind of a Python environment where you can create or seclude your packages so that they do not interfere with some other environment. We'll talk about in detail. Okay, so what is an environment, how Anaconda helps in that, etc. and etc. So if you like the video, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel to show your support, and hit the bell icon if you want to receive the latest notifications. You can tell your dear friends about this channel because it will be a lot rich with content for your programming passion. Anyways, in the end, I will thank you for your time and hopefully to see you next in the next video. Okay, thank you. Code Panthers out.